So this is bog cotton. It's a really beautiful little bog plant. It grows all over the place here, kind of in drifts, and it's really beautiful in the winter to see it kind of wafting back and forth. And it's not a plant that we really use very often, but it's a really special one in terms of kind of the history of medicinal use in the Hebrides. So I was listening to a radio programme a while ago, and it was a woman who lived on the Isle of Lewis, which is the next island up from here. And she was describing how when she was a child, on the last day of term, they would round up their cows and walk them across around the bottom of Stornoway and out onto the moorland. And the moorland very much like this around me here. And on that day she would kick off her shoes and she wouldn't put them back on again for weeks, all the way through the summer holidays. And they'd live out on the moor with their cattle, and all the other families would arrive, and it was a proper community event. And she wasn't that much older than me, and I'm 60, so she was just a little bit older. So this was a relatively recent thing. Oh yeah, kind of relatively recent. Anyway, one of the things that I was reading about was how if you were barefoot and running across the moors, what would happen is you'd get little cracks and sores on the bottom of your feet, because this is quite rough terrain, and these rocks, they're really quite sharp. So what they would do is they would pick the heather, and we've got two types of heather here. This is bell heather, and it has these open bell-shaped, quite bright pinky purple flowers. And then the other one is Minnie. The other heather is Calluna vulgaris, and it's got a much smaller flower. Anyway, what they would do is they would take the heather and they would put it into a pan with water and boil it. And the idea was that they would create a decoction, which is like a very strong tea almost of the heather. Then they'd strain the heather out and dip the bog cotton in. And this bog cotton, stop it Lily, this bog cotton is so soft, it's absolutely wonderful. And it's great for sucking up the, you know, the maceration basically. So they'd dip it into the heather water, and then apply it to the bottom of their feet like a kind of wound healer. And I think that some of those things here are so interesting, where you find things growing together that work very well together. And people were so resourceful in terms of finding ways of keeping themselves well. And heather is such a brilliant plant. It's anti-inflammatory and it's quite antiseptic. And when you mix it with the bog cotton, it actually makes a really fantastic wound dressing. So, you know, great.